the advantage to it. I got the real gun. He should, the van. He give you the real gun and other things, but he give you Molotov.
Hardcore on this one, hardcore.
It's a gun van. And then you can buy Molotov from it too.
Get in the room and I'll be right back.
You can get the real gun in the Molotov.
Pop up.
I got the real gun in the Molotov.
Because it is almost the DS's end of life, or 3DS I should say, so there's going to be a lot more of these cards out. So no future plans to release their old content. So I think you can't really see that as kind of oil. I'm going to trade a chimchar for something else. So I have to trade a chimchar or gasoline. Tyler the gasoline. Seems to be working so far. We'll see when I get out of the room. Pretty amazing how you can actually trade stuff on to the DS game. Very amazing.
PayPal is more than just online payments. We help you sell online, in-store, and on the go, so you can reach customers where they are.
If you were stranded on a deserted island, solely occupied by roving packs of man-eating feral dogs, what would you do? I'm going to break down mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the hellhounds in The Breed. It's said the dog is man's best friend, but for these 5 college kids, nothing could be further from the truth. If they want to survive, they'll have to remind these angry doggos why humanity's at the top of the food chain. I hope no one hears the dog name. Look at Jenny or Boston C. What started out as a simple news cruise is now on the verge of a full-blown survival situation. Apparently, they're both too dog-hammered to actually give up. It seems their luck might be changing. As Jenny spots an Eiffel Top on the horizon, looking to break the barbed wire and keep outside, the couple comes to a port that is dock with a look at the unfinished Tiger. Jenny stumbles off into the woods in search of a poolside bar. After a short walk down the road, she happens upon a fenced-in area containing a pair of derelict buildings. Jenny calls out to anyone that might be around. Getting no response, she decides to continue wandering aimlessly through the forest. Suddenly, she hears something moving in the nearby vegetation. The sounds quickly begin to multiply in all directions, culminating in a vicious bark right beside her. Jenny takes off at a dense rate, eventually putting her back to a narrow tree trunk. Instead of having her with swords, the unseen attackers take Jenny to the ground and drag her screaming through the brush, never to be seen again. There's nothing wrong with enjoying adventures around the water, getting some bombs you can't even tell where they might be in. Nature is a great way to get out especially because the tiny size of the sailboat. Jenny can't get that perfect shot, but she should still try to take the situation seriously. Now would be a great time to fire up the radio. Definitely use your rods to try and make contact with anyone nearby. It's not necessarily a time to call an approach number, but it just might come to that if one of us should require medical attention so far away from the mainland. Finding an island like this could either be a blessing blessing or a curse, depending on who runs the place. Again, we can't be that far out, meaning it's gotta be on the map, but it could be home to anything from a sandals resort to a former nuclear test site. We all know how that ends up for the ditzy newcomers, so we should try and figure out what exactly we're about to get ourselves into before coming into port. If I couldn't raise the harbor master via radio, I'd consider sailing around to the perimeter of the island to see if we can spot any occupied buildings. The last thing we want is for authorities to think we're deliberately sneaking into a restricted area, or worse yet, some local drug lord thinking we've come to spy on his operation. A keep out sign in barbed wire doesn't exactly scream 2-for-1 fishbowl margaritas. Seeing this, I would try to find a more inviting place to dock, if not leave the island entirely. After all, it's not like we're talking to our volleyball yet. We should just sober up and dedicate as much collective brain power as possible to navigating our way back home. I'm sure Jenny was joking when she said that she was looking for the bar, but what the hell was she in such a hurry to find? Also, Luke's a fucking dumbass for letting her wander off alone like that. It'd be one thing if there was a paved path leading inland that she could follow, but letting your semi-blacked out girlfriend go trailblazing on a mysterious island is exactly how you wind up back on Tinder. This facility we've stumbled upon looks like the kind of place that you'd be looting in PUBG. It seems pretty obvious no one's been around in some time, so when we get no reply from anyone inside, we should turn right around and head straight back to the boat. It's not like there was a sign pointing to the nearest Dairy Queen. As soon as we hear shit rustling around beside us, we should put our back against a big tree and pick up something solid that we can use to defend ourselves. A pointed stick or even a rock will go a lot further than a fist against a wild animal. Running aimlessly like Jenny does guarantees that we'll die tired. Pretty much nothing in nature can prove killing a human that we can outrun, so our best option is to look like less of an appetizer. Judging by the barking sound, we're dealing with either wolves or sometimes feral dogs, so climbing up a tree might be enough to get us out of harm's way. Of course, once we're down on the ground, the situation is critical. We can do everything we can to protect our throat, as all these super well-placed hideaway blocks on the ground. I'm looking for some cherry juice. Growing up in the fetal position might be an option if we know help is on the way, but otherwise, we'll just be dead by 1,000 cuts. Have to fight back to the guns, specifically targeting all the areas with eyes and snout. Probably not getting out of this with our fingers, but if we get back on the game, it's got a chance. Sometimes it's about the sharp stick you pick up to defend yourself around the dog. Sometimes it's about perfect armor. They let you fight twice when you can press on the ball. That's why you need to get yourself in action. Location title back orders once an established title. These titles grant exclusive states in Scotland with official wrestling certificates. Maybe it doesn't come with an all-season cast of all-season games, but it is an affirmation we can turn free and like getting a season pass to work out your body. But he did snap into a personalized neck, so don't leave your established title certificate inside of deceased politician's neck and you should be fine, especially since each certificate has your unique plot number containing the exact searchable location of your land. It can be lonely at the top, which is why you need to establish some titles to break your girlfriend and fam out of the peasants' wagon cages. Then you can all skip through the tulip fields to Scotland to check out your unique plot, which may be a bit tight if you're checked out on the title. That doesn't matter because you're still technically a lord, and with a tree plant in every order, you're literally creating oxygen. If you're sweaty, you slap your lord title on Tinder, credit cards, or plane tickets. Unless you fancy mud fighting Ramsey Bolton's bloodhounds, use code NERDEXPLAINS to get 10% off. Don't forget Father's Day. Unshackle them from the mines with this great last-minute gift. Sometime later, brothers Matt and John arrive at the island by seaplane to visit their late uncle's old homestead, along with the bride or Matt's girlfriend Nikki and longtime friends Noah and Sarah. After setting in with some margarita-fueled zipline shenanigans and turning the old playground equipment into a death trap, the gang plays out.
You go to bed?
You
go to bed?
Something starts rustling around nearby bushes.
Well, push it open, push the door in there. So you usually up to.
Revealing itself to be just
Well, push the door in there, so you usually up to.
immediately becomes a fan favorite and is quick to be adopted by the friends with zero regard for where it came from and whether you might be carrying any goodies. Later that night, while the 20-somethings are busy. The Twisted Tea Drive! Surprise! not before jumping down Sarah's ankle flames of milk back inside. Vince and Matt renders first aid and suggest a skedaddle before Sarah starts foaming at the mouth. But John's not about to let a little dog get in the way of his vacation and his ability to untrain burnout. Sarah has at least a week to begin Raymond's full practice, so they should just get through the situation and get the flaming tequila shots. Matt uncomes Max to roller screens, but insists there's no pressure, which is all Sarah needs to throw caution to the wind and bring positivity. Sure, a little tightness, cute and all, but also a major yellow flag that will be taken into consideration. The puppy either belongs to the local currently on the island, fairly close by, or is the progeny of feral dogs and the loss of all faithful humans. Matt and John told their friends they're supposed to be alone on the island, meaning it's probably the second option. I'm not saying we should drop kick the little guy off the nearest bridge, but it might not be a bad idea to turn him loose, in case any of his relatives are out looking for him. Eventually, the problem almost solves itself, but Sarah and John just had to go chasing tail. Mama's dog sneak attack happens way too fast for us to avoid it, but once we're flat on our back, we should immediately cover our face and throat with our arms, so we can stay alive long enough for John to come whack him with a backlight. It's odd that the dog would take the time to dish out a vindictive fight while on retreat. Such extreme aggression should be taken as a sign that the dog might become a problem later on. This encounter also suggests the puppy was born on the island to feral parents, meaning there's got to be at least one other big-ass dog screwing around somewhere, and probably a lot more than that. As for the rabies concern, we need to pile into the plane in GTFO as soon as John is sober enough to hold a yoke. Yes, it's true that rabies usually takes between 20 days and 3 months to incubate, but there have been cases where symptoms emerged in only 4 days, and once that happens, you are uppercase fucked. Hanging around a blank King's Cup and shotgun fears of the fatal disease brewing inside you is pretty much Russian roulette. Sure, you probably won't blow your brains out, but if you do, there's no scooping them back in. Rabies aside, there's also the risk of serious bacterial infection that accompanies about half of all recorded dog bites. These kinds of infections are known to cause tissue death if not treated right away, so there's really no good reason why we shouldn't call it quits and fly home with our tail between our legs. Fast forward to the next morning, and something is clearly wrong with Sarah. During breakfast, she's aloof, irritable, and ravenous, wolfing down everything in sight and nearly perforating Noah for trying to take the last pancake, entirely unconcerned with her bizarre behavior. John, Matt, and Noah head into the woods with a bow for a little ATM shooting. A short ways into their hike, Noah breaks off from the brothers to snap some photos of the local wildlife, but quickly gets more than he bargained for when he comes face to face with another stray dog. He turns his back on the menacing mutt, only to find 2 more sneaking up behind him. Noah shouts for help before tearing ass through the forest, which naturally results in him tripping over nothing and falling flat on his face. Fortunately, Matt and John find him before the dogs do. Noah explains what he just saw, but his friends brush it off as a little cynophobia from out of nowhere. A badly injured Luke wordlessly creeps up behind them. The human chew toy cryptically warns them that the dogs don't want them there, but takes a Belgian Malinois to the face before he can elaborate further. Matt tries to rush in to help, but John holds him back, watching in horror as the stranger is savagely torn apart. Almost as soon as the screaming stops, the pack sets its sights on live prey, prompting the 3 men to haul ass back to the house. Upon reaching the hill overlooking the property, they realize they've been cut off by another group of dogs. Meanwhile, Sarah and Nikki are just coming in off the docks. Matt shouts at them to run like hell, and just like that, the race is on. Just as they make it to the front door, one of the dogs latches onto Nikki's pant leg. Matt goes in to help, but once again, John calls him off, knocking an arrow to his recurve and letting it fly directly into the meat of Nikki's hand. Overwhelmed by secondhand embarrassment, the dog flees the scene out of pure cringe, giving the gang time to drag their wounded friend back into the house. Looks like John could use a little more practice. Seriously, though, we know that there's at least one large aggressive dog on the island, so maybe leaving our small injured friend alone with another small person is a bad idea. This is also why Noah shouldn't split off on his own to stare at flowers through a narrow-ass viewfinder. He's lucky the dogs didn't come after him. I would have tried to keep all the threats in front of me and backed away slowly while calling for my friends. Breeds like these are known to chase anything that moves, so turning our backs on them would almost certainly cause them to attack. Once Noah rejoins the others, John's an idiot for not taking his claims seriously. He's seen firsthand the size and aggressive nature of at least one of the dogs on the island, so the fact that there are several more of them should be an immediate cause for alarm. At this point, we should have an arrow knocked in the bow at all times. Meanwhile, the others should pick up long ranges that they can use to keep the dogs at a distance. If we're attacked, Noah and Matt can keep the butts at an arm's length, while John picks them off one at a time, provided he can actually hit what he's aiming at. I get Luke's probably delirious from blood loss, but if I were in his shoes, I would have tried asking for help instead of muttering some half-baked nonsense no one's going to understand. This might have allowed us to get closer to the three men without them treating us like a fucking zombie. Standing so far away only makes it easier for the dogs to single us out. While the pack was busy tearing Luke apart, this would be a prime opportunity for John to test his aim on something with a face. The dogs are more or less stationary while they rip into their prey, giving us a good shot, as we're likely to get into this situation. Yeah, we only have so many arrows, but if we're able to keep the stranger alive, he might be able to share some valuable insights into the current state of the island, or just how many dogs we might be dealing with here. At the very least, he's another pair of hands to fight off the mongrels. As soon as we make it back to the property, our goal should be to get straight into the plane and put this place behind us as soon as possible. Then have animal control nuke the place for orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Nikki and Sarah are literally right next to the plane when they see the dogs, so if I were them, I would have...
With Canva, we brainstorm together on whiteboards
We all bring brain power.
to bounce off each other.
Taken the path of least resistance and climbed into the cockpit instead of staking our survival on an interspecies foot race, especially since Sarah's got a wounded leg. A single dog grabbing Nikki by the pant leg is easily something the five of us could have dealt with unarmed. Just surround the butt and kick its fucking ass. There was absolutely no need for John to play Legolas here. If anything, I would have just taken a running start and booted it right in the face. If there were really no other option, I don't know, maybe aim for the part of the dog not directly attached to your friend's leg. I'm no Steven Ranella, but I would have at least tried to ensure that if I missed, I'd hit anything but the other person. While Nikki slugs back some tequila, Matt snips the head off the arrow with a pair of wire cutters and yanks the shaft from her bleeding leg like a true medical professional. As the group reviews just how fucked up the situation is, Matt brings up the fact that there used to be a training facility for C9 dogs on the island, which he speculates could have been secretly training attack dogs. He goes on to say that the place was reportedly closed down after a rabies outbreak forced them to euthanize all the animals, and any that might have escaped would have almost certainly died from disease years ago. Just then, Sarah starts spouting off the same mysterious bullshit as Luke right before he got. Noticing this, Noah tells everyone it's time to get the hell out of there, but the doggos also get a vote. One of the crazed canines flies into a nearby window and knocks Noah on his ass before charging straight at Sarah. Just before he can close the distance, John comes in clutch with a chokehold, buying enough time for Matt to put it down with a fire poker. Having had it with his dog show, the gang packs their shit and makes for the seaplane. Only to find it thoroughly puppy-guarded, they go back inside to come up with a new plan. When suddenly, Noah spots the plane drifting out to sea. With no critters in sight, everyone heads down to the water to try and recover their ticket home before it's too late. Evidently, the dogs chew through the rope securing a plane to the dock, although Matt is certain they couldn't have known to do this on purpose. John sheds his gear and dives right in, but just as he's about to reclaim the ride, the plane rotates to reveal a pair of pooches perched up on the wing. He manages to swim back to shore before they can catch him, but more dogs are beginning to arrive on the scene. Fortunately, Noah is able to bat them all home before the rest of the pack can join in on the action. If Matt's really invincible, he should know the last thing that he'd want to do is pull the arrow out of Nikki's calf, especially this far away from proper medical treatment. I would use the wire cutters to trim down the shaft on either side of her leg and then bandage it up as much as possible. The arrow itself is actually working to control the bleeding, so pulling it out would really open up the floodgates, and if it so much as nicked her tibial artery, she'd be dead in under 10 minutes. Attack dogs or not, these mutts are clearly determined to make us dinner, and this house won't hold them back forever. As we see with the dog that jumped in through the window, they die just like everything else, so we should scour the place for weapons we can use to thin out the herd. Fire pokers are a great start, but knives to broom handles to make improvised pheasant spears. I would tape some old magazines to my extremities, World War Z style, to nullify their fighting power. It's not like we're dealing with bears or big cats that can use their claws to tear us up. As long as the dogs can't sink their teeth into us, they should be easy enough to fend off with our 2x4 technology. Once we're sufficiently kitted up, we'll need a distraction to buy us time to move the wounded. I would take all the food we brought for the trip and dump it outside on the opposite side of the house, along with the dead dog. As soon as the pack came in to chow down, we make for the plane as quickly as possible. Of course, I doubt anyone could have expected the dogs would cut the plane loose like that. This development drastically moves up our timeline. We need to immediately drop anything that can't kill a dog and run like hell for the dogs. If we lose the plane, then 2 of us are for sure going to die from untreated infections, and the rest of us won't last long once we run out of supplies. So it's well worth potentially getting caught out in the open to salvage our only means of escape. 2 dogs jumping into the water doesn't mean we should abandon our best hope for survival. Pretty much all dog species are extremely vulnerable while swimming, and they can't hold their breath for nearly as long as the average human, so we can simply swim underneath them to reach the plane. Once we climb aboard, the fuselage would be far too slippery for them to climb up after us, and any dogs that get close could easily be held off with kicks to the face. Also, since even our lightest member weighs significantly more than any of the dogs, it'd be pretty easy to just hold them underwater and drown them one at a time, especially if Matt or Noah joined in on the action. Generally speaking, humans would be far better suited to aquatic combat, as we can tread water with our legs while striking with our arms. Come to think of it, as long as Sarah and Nikki can swim with their entries, we should all be diving in to swim out to the plane. It'll save us the trouble of coming back to the dock, and even if every dog on the island jumped in after us, it'd be easier to deal with them in the water than on dry land. With the plane drifting out to sea, unless there's a canoe lying around nearby, our only option is to run back to the house. But we really shouldn't have left the front door open like that. For all we know, the place turned into a fucking dog pound the second we left. I'd definitely be preparing myself for a fight the moment we cross the threshold. We'll also want to meticulously clear the place as a group while boarding it up, to make sure we don't run into any surprises later on. With no cell service and their only means of escape well out of reach, they board up the house and dig in for the long haul. As soon as the coast is clear, Matt and John dump the dead dog over the side of the porch and quickly retreat inside. Meanwhile, Sarah's starting to run a fever. Matt says it's still too soon for her to be showing symptoms of rabies, but the fever could be a sign that she's developed some other kind of infection. Realizing they can't wait around forever, they decide the best move forward is to commandeer their uncle's old Mercedes from the detached garage and use it to drive across the island, despite the old rust.
For some, the letter F is an obsession from the beginning. Until eventually,